I just want to also talk about a little about legal education. We need to be very, very serious about standards if we don't want to end up with lawyers who do more harm than good. I've been listening to the radio, and people have been saying things like, "Oh, when the new Chief Justice comes, they don't know." I think he's even more of a stickler. He's even more of a stickler than I am. On the way here, I saw a group of young lawyers crossing the road from the Yellow House to the court complex in their full regalia, wig, gown, bib, and I said, if the incoming Chief Justice sees these people, they will be in trouble. I'll take the opportunity now to actually caution members of the bar against that. Strictly speaking, it amounts to touting. You don't, outside the precincts of the court, you can walk from this building to the circuit court building. You can do that because that's within the precincts. But you cannot, when the community center courts were in place, you cannot robe and cross the road to go there. That's a different precinct. Let's stop that practice. I've seen lawyers walking along that Makola road towards electricity in their full robes. It is totally unprofessional and misconduct. Even just being in your bibs, that is not allowed. In England, people have lost their licenses just because of that. Let us maintain the standards of the profession. That's what differentiates us. So I also want to speak very briefly about the importance of standards. Standardization makes life easy for everybody. It creates predictability. It minimizes caprice. It minimizes, and in the end, it minimizes corruption, because when you establish standards and let the whole world know what those standards are and what the measures are and everything, everybody knows what to expect. President Rawlings, out of the blue, I think for no reason, nominated me and in the end swore me in as a justice of the Supreme Court. I never applied for it, I never dreamt it, I never really desired it, but it just happened. President Akuffo, also out of the blue, nominated me to the African Court on Human and People's Rights. I hadn't even heard of it. And, the first time I heard of it was the late Justice Akwa telling me I should send my CV to his office, to his secretary, because I'm being nominated for appointment to the African Court. So I had to read up on it. President Mills taught me taxation in law school, and I always said was one of the kindest lecturers I had, very patient, and had patience for my lack of knowledge of arithmetic. And so he even passed me in the finals. And whilst I was in the African Court as president, he always made sure the ambassador knew what the court needed so that Ghana can support us before the summit of heads of states. And President Mahama was also the same way. Every time he would ask me if there's any particular thing the court needs, so that, and if they don't understand it, we can properly explain it to him, so he will move our cause for us. Therefore, I had a very successful stint at the African Court. I was a member for 2 years. I was vice president for 4 years, and then I was president of the court for another 2 years. I don't think anybody since then has had a career like that. Our current president, President Akuffo, he was my first senior when I was out of law school. In fact, I was moonlighting. I was doing my national service at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and in the afternoons I would go and help him out in the chambers, the UV Campbell and Co. And because of that, I was able to participate very actively in the very famous case of Mensilo Rice, where a number of important landmark decisions in civil procedure as well as corporate law were chalked.
So that is Madame Sophia Akuffo, the immediately retired Chief Justice. Let me come to you, Martin. What do you remember her for? What will be her standing legacy for you? Wow. The thing that stands out.
Well, because there are so many of them, maybe I need to reprocess and see. Maybe we can take the last one, since you know, usually it's the most recent. That's the issue of the 48.
Oh, your case.
Yes,
your case.
at least the most recent.
She read that. She was, of course, she sat, so she was a president.
Yes, yes. That's she delivered the unanimous opinion of the court. Yes, you see how now that 48 hours have been calculated to mean simply 48 hours, whether it's a weekend, a public holiday, or during a strike. It's simply 48 hours. I can foresee that this is going to bring about monumental changes in the criminal justice system. You see it? Yes. So it means that the Supreme Court has pushed for the boundaries of freedom, you know, personal liberties. Because, you know, there was this practice which was so rife that police would invite a suspect on a Thursday or Friday, knowing very well that 48 hours would elapse on a weekend. You see it? So, and it's been there for ages. Police, BNI, YOCO, you know, and before YOCO, SFO, you know, all this. So it's good that the Chief Justice really made that validatory judgment, because she's helped to stem out a very bad practice that definitely put us in the bad books of the human rights chroniclers, you know. So in other words, we've moved up a few notches on the human rights ladder. So we should be very grateful. Evans, you have no idea of what it feels like when a client calls you that I've been invited to come to the police station on a Friday afternoon. Because as a lawyer, then you see that you are powerless. I mean, you see it. That's the main thing. So usually in such situations, you would have to look for ways and means not to attend on a Friday afternoon. Because, I mean, once they give you Friday afternoon, master, you are not guaranteed, your client is not guaranteed a return home. And no lawyer would usually want to walk into such a den, you see. So it usually makes us very powerless. So usually, you know, you are left to generally begging, and with so many supplications to the arresting officer and all that. It's just not good. So this is a rights-based approach to human rights. With this Supreme Court judgment, it's going to help our work tremendously, bring freedom to people. You know, Evans, we keep saying these things. Sometimes you make it look like, oh, it's only bad people who get into trouble. But I'm sure we all can remember at least 2 journalists who got into trouble, rape cases, but those cases never came to trial. But in the interim, they had spent months in prison, isn't it so? True. And it affected their work. True. Affected their work. So, especially those of our countrymen who think, oh, yeah, let them deal with criminals, they are bad people. Yes, we are not disputing the right of the state to investigate offenses. All we're just saying is that if the person shouldn't be in custody, just grant him bail. If the police or BNI or YOCO are not minded to grant him bail, what the Supreme Court is saying is that take the person to court within 48 hours. Let a trained mind listen to both arguments, that's the prosecution and the defense, and then make the determination whether to remand the person or not. You know, prior to going to court, I remember one of my professors, I said, Martin, why are you interested in this case? If the police keep a suspect or accused in custody beyond 48 hours, go to court. Yes, Evans, you can go to court. And there was a case I did with Professor Tifa. I've forgotten the exact figure the guy got. It was either 30,000 or 40,000 Ghana. That was judgment debt against the government because they kept him for 3 days. I remember telling people that for me, when Professor Tifa brought that case, it was a small case to me. Small because I was looking at, accused persons and suspects who've been in Sawam for years.
Yes.
So that one touches my heart more than 3 days. But eventually, because that was his case, we had to do it. The guy got either 30 or 40,000, one of those. You see, that's one example. But my point is that it was difficult work. Difficult, you have to go through court and all that, okay? And don't forget, that was our meager taxes that was used to pay that suspect. So it's rather better that the Supreme Court has taken this step to cancel out that bad practice.
Anything else that stands up for you for her?
Oh, yes. So that quest for discipline. Disciplinarians are usually not liked, But sometimes you look back after several years and then you are thankful for the tiger mom attitude, So you would call her a tiger mom. Yeah, in court, you say, oh, why have you done this? Why haven't you done? Yeah, it was difficult, but I think with hindsight, sometimes you see.
Has he dealt with you like that before?
Oh, yeah.
What did you do? What did you do? What was your sin?
No, this very case. It's interesting when you look through the case. Did you see foreign cases? The judgment.
I haven't read it.
When you go through the judgment, you wouldn't see the foreign cases. When I filed a brief, she said, but Martin, why have you inundated us with so many foreign cases? This thing is straight. Do I need, and she's Harvard trained. So, I think I got the impression that, look, these cases you brought here, I've seen them before. In my training in Harvard and that kind of thing. You say, yes. So, and for us as a lawyer, when you're going, you count your confidence by the precedents you found. So if you can show that, this same provision, this court held this in this country, and that country, and that country, then you are very confident because you think like mine. But when I got there, he said, don't inundate us with your so many foreign cases. And true, you see in the final product, not many, I don't even think I remember the foreign cases in the judgment, you see. But I had a ton of foreign cases, you see. So sometimes for a lawyer...
That's who she was.
Yes,
and I guess that's justice.
For me...
Do you practice, by the way?
Yeah, I do.
You've come before her before?
Yes. In fact, she also taught me.
Okay.
She also taught me at the law school. As she was on the African court, she came to give us a couple of lectures. And from that point on, you could really know she knew her stuff. No two ways about it. But two things stand out. You see, her boldness in closing down all the dilapidated courtrooms was a very good thing. The reason is that they were death traps to all of us. Both practitioners, i.e. lawyers, and the general public, together with the bench itself. No state agency would have had the power, and excuse me to say the guts, to go and close down a court for the reasons that the structure poses a threat to all of us in terms of our survival. She went across the country and noticed that, look, that practice ought to stop. It was also a way of telling the state that you also need to sit up and do what is right. And I think that people of this nature sometimes are hard to come by because people will just want to please the establishment. But she took the bold decision. She also knew that it was also her responsibility as the head of the judiciary to also ensure that proper structures are put in place. Somebody would have said, okay, let's do it alongside. But she was bold enough to do it. Assemblies who are supposed to provide, courtrooms and what have you, I'm sure naturally came back to the reality that, look, if we don't quickly resolve these issues, our communities may not even have courts to deal with some of these issues for us. So for me, that was one. Her posture towards the use of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, I think was also good. And a lot of it you can see in what she was trying to do with the Justice for All programs. Yeah. Where basically at some point her directive more or less was that every 3 months this thing should happen. Because our courts were also congested. So she sort of did case management, let me put it that way. So she would send the judges to the prisons. You know, they will hear some of these cases, and some of them are cases that ought not to be even in prison.
Yeah.
But they were there. She stood out in the way she really wanted some of these things to happen. And ADR, we all know, sometimes it's better than the adversarial approach to doing things, because the adversarial approach is such that even though there may be a verdict, it never heals, in quote, the society at times.
Could she have done more on reforming legal education?
I think that, with all due respect, others may have different views, but I think she did what she had to do because it was necessary.
Was it enough?
You see, as a people, sometimes we also gloss over certain things. We also need to interrogate the very foundation of the structures we are trying to put in place. Suddenly we have thousands, or let's say a lot of law faculties coming up because everybody has a right to legal education. No problem. But that does not also mean that the standards as set should also be compromised on. Go to some of the faculties and ask of the caliber of people who are teaching. I think we were fortunate to have the Mensa Bonzus and the Kofi Kumados who had all the experience, the Kwashigas, the Ashikotes, and teachers. Sometimes some of these smaller institutions that have come up, a lawyer with practically no experience. Some were teaching because they had just, in quote, completed the LLB. You know, so I think that she was clearly of the view that, yes, we need to open up the space, but in the process, we shouldn't also sacrifice standards. And I think it is something that she kept saying, even I mean, what you
said
just
it again, yes.
Yes. So I think that clearly, you know, once you don't get the opportunity probably to become a lawyer at the point that you really wanted to, naturally, you will not be happy about it. And that is human nature. I agree. But then, in our quest to ensure that we open up, I think the standards should also not be lowered. And I think it's fair.
Martin, quick point before I go to...
No, let them do it.
Quick point. If you look, and she mentions that, and this is comparing her stance to Enin. We don't know what Enin Zebwa's stance is, but she gives us a clue. She says, those of you who think I was tough, well, wait till the man comes. Knowing the two, when it comes to legal education, is Enin Zebwa more liberal in terms of, because there's an argument opening up the space, you know. What do you think is going to, how this is going to play out, knowing the two of them?
I don't think I know them enough to be able to make.
When she says Enin is more a stickler, what is she saying there? What signal is she sending to those who want reforms in that sense?
Sometimes it may just be a joke. It may just, because you know what, let me say something so that you see why I don't want to place too much on Justice Enin Zebwa being a stickler. You know, he has had his own children not benefiting from the legal education here. They had to go to Gambia.
Who?
Justice Enin Zebwa's son. Yes.
Which means that they were rejected by the same, under the same.
Exactly.
Oh,
so,
and not even his position could.
So he said.
Okay.
So the son had to go to Gambia and then come back to do what we call.
That is an ominous sign for those who are hoping that he was going to, if he was willing to sacrifice his own children, then he could imagine.
It could also be that he didn't want to interfere in the system because he didn't have much power. But now that he's ascending to the position of CJ, at least he willed more power. I mean, a lot of power. He will be the central person. So it's possible. And you know, don't forget there's been the pushback. You see, bottom line, look, the ratios are bad. The number of lawyers in the system. I keep saying this everywhere because we want to get the necessary reforms. You know, last year, the Attorney General asked for 350 lawyers. Finance Minister declined and gave approval, that's clearance, for only 50. So the remaining 300 lawyers is still on the table. You see, we need more lawyers, legal aid. You want access to justice, it's not only courtrooms. You need lawyers as well. We don't have enough lawyers in the system. We don't have enough lawyers in the system. We are all clustered around Accra, Kumasi, Cape Coast, Takoradi. The hinterlands, you go to some places and you're like, oh, lawyer, will you come here just once?
So you expect Enin Zebwa to make that a top priority?
Yes,
Okay.
so that will open, I mean, increase the admissions.
Well, I think we wish her well, for her to have peace of mind and retire in tranquility. She's done her bit for Ghana. there was a time when she was appointed. Remember, Isankuma did a list of cases she had participated in. Huge, about 67 or so. Very impressive. And there were 2 or 3 there that, of course, caught my attention. There was one that involved Ampofo versus Human Rights Commission, Shraj. I had an interest in that. Yes, because I had sent the case to Shraj, and Shraj indicted him, and he was protesting, challenging Shraj's jurisdiction and things. And the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Shraj, which in a way helped me, except that Ampofo didn't pay the money he had been asked to pay.
He still hasn't paid it.
He was asked to then 10 million, 1,000. It should be 1,000, but the old one.
10 million.
10 million.
He didn't pay. I also decided not to chase it. And then I remember the Munti 3 case.
Yeah.
I think she was quite hard. I was against the custodial sentence, but she was very hard. Then, of course, there were also 2 cases that, and I don't say this to take away anything from her greatness, her dignity and honor. But there were some cases, for instance, the Tommy Thompson case, about the constitutionality or otherwise of criminal libel. The Supreme Court said it was constitutional. She was part of that case. Yes, that was something I was disappointed in. I mean, we need to look at it on a balance sheet.
Yes, exactly.
But to be honest with you, the law school, the law reform, I don't think her position was progressive. Too conservative. And I'm disappointed that she decided to do a preemptive, or if you like, a premature strike. To tell us. I thought she should have left that alone and let justice come and deal with the situation and face the forces. Because I think that particular issue, her stance was too conservative, too rigid. I saw, quote unquote, a stubborn cat in hair. And that ought not to happen. So she shouldn't try and more or less, this is dangerous to say, teleguide her successor to go in the same direction. I think that was needless, unwarranted.
Oh, that's a price is a joke. She was there.
Well, I didn't get it. Well, somehow you know better, but I didn't get it as a joke.
She meant it.
No, but I didn't get it as a joke either. You were signposting something. Telling us.
So that's all I've said.
Yes, but even a quick one. I think our brother here should. We should also honor him.
Of course.
No, Martin. No, you see, sometimes let's be. You see,
High Court appointment.
Oh
no.
no, not going to the bench.
I think his role in that validatory judgment by the outgoing CJ or outgone CJ. I mean, it will go down. The ruling is, like you said, historic. The circumstances are such that everybody will always refer to you. Yeah. And you fought for it.
And not for the first time. There have been previous.
Yes.
But the judges
don't forget that the Constitution on its own would have been nothing.
Yes.
It's the actions of people like Martin,
So,
Isankuma, those who went to court on
and
the public order, those things.
Yes.
Like
there are a series of them.
Yes.
Okay? That's what
the
consolidated.
President.
Yes. He was there, the MPP versus Attorney General, MPP versus IGP, MPP versus GBC, Then, of course, out of court, you have the parliament repealing the criminal libel. You have Tarzan and his radio eye thing. Those actions and initiatives, some in court, some outside the court, put together is why we are where we are in our constitution.
But for Tarzan, we may still be saddled with code, the GBC only.
Most definitely. Okay.
So
Charlie,
the NewsFile team is proud of you.
So
we are.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And when they nominate you for the High Court,
But Evans, one comment just before
very briefly.
Oh, your colleague, I just saw Latif about a week ago. The police brutality he suffered. Understand he's still experiencing relapses and the rest. You remember during the previous administration when the let my vote count people went, Justice Ajakuma, he died. Please, let's not sit down for anything untoward to happen to Latif. We must take action.
But I'm not sure he died because of the brutality.
No, the eye. You know, his eye was gorged. And
yeah,
then,
it's still critical, but because you say he died.
Within a year. So
no. For us, for what we say, the cause of their certification might be quite different.
Yes, but all I know is that the man went to a demonstration, he was beaten, and then he died soon after.
Good
So
point.
let's look at Latif's
Absolute
case.
good point.
Let's look at Latif's case.
And thank you very much for joining us. That is Martin Kpebu, the man of the hour. Also with us is Dr. Justice Jansen. No, next week will be.
Oh, this is the last for me.
Kweku Baku Jr. there, last for him this year. Thank you all for coming. Make your way to the UPSA for the 28th December edition of NewsFile, which is going to be a special edition with an audience. Your special invitation. You can call Joy FM and get your invitation for that live program. Yes. It's going to be in the auditorium. So.
Should I change my mind?
Please change your mind. Yes, you're invited. Yes. Who's going to be there?
No.
But you can't miss the last one.
No, you can't miss the last one.
This is the last one.
Let's start a petition. Let's start an online petition. Let's start an online petition for Kweku to be part of the live audience show of NewsFile for the last, So enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for watching NewsFile. My name is Evan Spencer.